Okay, so as we begin, officially now we are recording. So we are going to, this is the November general PTO meeting minutes, just so you're aware. They are posted always on our website as well. If anybody has any questions, but you know, everything that if you were at the last meeting is discussed here. We can go down, you know, and we're going to update as we go along anyway tonight. I need somebody to motion to pass, to approve.
I do, I motion. Oh,
Okay, Allison, would you like to second? Brian's first?
Sure.
Okay, just Brian, can you look at the screen for me? Anybody opposed? Please type in opposed. Otherwise, I will assume everything has been approved. Nothing? Okay. Meeting minutes have been approved. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. That's the biggest thing that I have to do. And then let's get back to here. Okay, so the only few things or items I have is thank you to everybody that did our restaurant fundraiser. It was super successful, and the local restaurants are super appreciative. If you have a gift card for Garden Bistro, they will be open this spring. They've guaranteed me that. If there is a problem and for some reason the plan doesn't pan out, please contact me and we will issue you a full refund. The other upcoming fundraiser in March will be we're selling pies for the spring. So, and that's also with a local business. And in May, we hope to work with one of the local florists, and we will be doing it for the first week in May, which is going to be the Teachers Appreciation, Nurses Week, and Mother's Day Week. So you get 3 for 1 on this lovely new adventure that we're going to be doing. Please just look for emails on that. We're trying to not send home paper as best as we can for that. So that's the exciting part there. The other thing that I just need to bring up shortly is lucky for us, majority of our board members are staying, so super happy for that. We do need a secretary for next year, at least 1, maybe 2, because our other secretary her kids are graduating. So even though I'd love to have her continue, she will no longer have a child in the middle school. So, and if you want to come to one of our board meetings and check it out, you know, we're happy to have you shadow. The other position that we are looking for is somebody that would be interested in being a co-chair with Kristen for our hospitality and volunteering. I know this year we haven't had too many you know, volunteer opportunities, but Kristen's been great with organizing a lot of our after-school extracurricular activities that we're having in workshops. And thank you so much again for the parents that have been volunteering. Data science, neuroscience, you guys were a hit. I guess anytime we dissect a sheep's brain, that's it. We got to one-up that for the next one. So I don't know, I don't think I'm going to one-up it, but I will actually be teaching the February one at the end of this month. I believe it's February 25th for American Heart Month. I'm going to be doing CPR and first aid. So I've been a CPR and first aid instructor. Thank you, Ewan. He's the one that did. I hear there's a part 2 they want.
It's rumored. I'm happy to do it. Absolutely.
Not to put you on the spot, but this is recorded. So anyway, that's sounds great. The kids are super enjoying it. We're glad again, no charge for anything that we do. I want to make that very clear with the PTO. And if you like any of our events, join them. You don't have to be a member. Victor has been doing a great job with membership. We are up to 169 members. All of our incentives have been given out. So if you are missing a shirt or a tote bag, please email myself or Victor Franco over there. Victor, you want to wave? Thank you. And Kristen, I know, has been working very hard. She finished up staff and teacher appreciation in December. The staff loved it. We also did a raffle for 10 gift certificates to the restaurants that we supported. So please, the teachers and staff want me to extend their deep appreciation of everything that we've been doing. We plan on hosting another one in March. And supporting a healthy awareness week for the staff that's going to be brought on by the counseling department as well. So more information to come on those events. And the next person I think I have to hand it over to, because I am speed talking, because I know you guys want to get to your guest speaker, is Allison for our budget. Again, thank you again for everybody's participating. Thank you for everybody's support. Don't forget, we still do box tops, and Allison will talk a little bit about that. We have a flyer that's going to be coming out for some of the things that you could do that at no cost, but we can get money for as a school. And anything that we can get now is great. We just have more to then do some fun things. Hopefully, with some of the rules changing, we can plan some at the end of the year activities for students. We'd really like to do that. That's a big goal of ours. All right, Allison, I'll take it away.
All right, so we are now at the halfway point through the school year, but there's still time to buy your assignment book or membership if you haven't done those already. They're for sale on the store, on the website. So we collected $22,612 this year. We've budgeted $26,000, so we're about $4,000 short. Sorry, $26,275. So we didn't do so well with the coupon book fundraiser. You know, we're not sure if we're going to have the school pictures fundraiser, but we've been doing our best with the fundraising, like the feast raiser raised over $2,800. We've already made over $600. I want to say like $700 for tonight's raffle. So if you see any way to participate, please help out with the fundraising. You will be getting a flyer soon that lists some online ways to help us raise money. So you don't have to leave your house, you know, shopping through Amazon Smile, using the Box Tops app. And then we haven't spent a lot this year because most of our budget goes to school activities. And while we are doing some, I know the 6th grade had a play that they watched virtually. You know, we still have money out there for teachers and stuff to request because we want to help out. We've done a lot with the COVID stuff. We've bought masks and thermometers and water bottles. So we're just here. We're trying to help out. We're trying to raise money, and we're trying to do what the school needs to help out.
Okay, thanks so much, Allison. So like we said, no pressure on anybody. And if you need any financial assistance or help going forward, we do have a student in need fund. So please, 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 you can remain totally anonymous. Just reach out to your guidance counselor. So anything you need, if you need masks, we are refilling the water bottles, just so you know. So students, hopefully I'll be able to get them back to the school on Friday. Totally free, brought to you by the PTO. So if you forget your water bottle, you can get them at the main office or the nurse's office as well, just to let everybody know that. So that's one more thing that we're trying to provide. I am going to stop my sharing of my screen here, if I can figure it out. And wait. Brian, are you in it now or no?
No, you're still, there you go.
Sure. Yay. Okay. Okay, you should be able to take over. So once again, I want to introduce our Vice President, Brian Sinkoff, who is organizing today and will be your MC for this evening. Again, if you have any questions, there is a chat feature below. I'll try to read as we go along. So this way, Kevin, you have an idea of what's coming your way. But please, without further ado, Brian, take it away. Thanks everybody for coming again tonight.
Thank you so much, CC. I really appreciate it. Again, name is Brian Sinkoff here, Vice President of the Bethlehem Middle School PTO. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. To make this easy, we ask everyone mute your camera, or excuse me, mute your microphone and turn off your camera. And the easiest way to view this is to, if you go to the top right of your screen, you may want to, again, it's up to you, but you can do speaker view, which will just have the two people speaking on camera. So without further ado, I just want to introduce my good friend, Kevin Conrad. Kevin is a Schenectady native, Sage College graduate, and a former artist for Marvel and DC Comics. We want to say, Kevin, a Bethlehem middle school welcome to you. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome,
be here.
awesome. We really appreciate you coming on. Kevin, as you've seen the promotion we've been doing, Kevin has worked as an artist and inker for Marvel, for DC Comics, Todd McFarlane's Spawn, love Todd McFarlane stuff, as well as Kiss Psycho Circus. Kevin has worked on many great comics. You've probably read them, you've heard of them: X-Force, X-Men, Justice League, Teen Titans, Hulk, Gambit, to name a few. Kevin still contributes to DC and some image properties, while again doing commissions and finding time to attend cons when we're able to, and also join us here. Kevin, I touched on your background a little bit, but without further ado, and you know what, I got to get some props here, Kevin, because I really need to show everybody exactly. There we go. How's that? We got Flash behind me, and there is my son, Zach, which we'll talk about in a second. Kevin, talk about your background a little bit. How did you get started in the comic game?
Well, I've been drawing all my life. I can't remember not having a pencil in my hands. All from the point, I was in school, like I want to say junior high school. I was in, like, we used to have like these comic book club things after school and that kind of thing. We would go to those. I had heard of another guy in my junior high school. I'd never met him. We were a year apart at the time. And everybody would come up to me and they'd say, "Hey, I know a guy who draws just like you." And he would hear the same thing, which I wouldn't find out until later on when I met him in high school at Linton High. He was a year younger than me, and his name was Greg Capullo. And if you're familiar with comics, he's very, very renowned now in the business. We grew up together from that point, and became fast friends, and we were in rock bands together. We took the train regularly down to New York City to Marvel to submit pages, and come back disappointed, for quite a few times. I graduated high school, and we were going down probably, for those 2 years. I didn't go to college, and I took 2 years off, and we were going down, and I finally ended up going to college, and he continued to try to get in and continued to make submissions. I was busy with school. And then it's when I got out of school in '83, I immediately got work in the commercial art field, and I started making a living for myself. And I did that for a number of years, and Greg had finally made it in. And we were still, good friends. And it came to a point where it was like, I saw the success he was starting to have at Marvel. And I was like, man, I said, I want a piece of that now. I really do want to be in there. And it was a lifetime dream of mine since I was a little kid to work for Marvel. So what I ended up doing was there's different stages of a comic book. There's writer gives his plot line to the penciler. The penciler draws the page, and then the inker will finish those pencils in black ink and add texture, tones, mood, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you would do a redraw. Never had to worry about that with Greg. But but anyway, so he gave me full-size copies of some of the pages he had, and I took them home and I lightboxed them and inked them, in the style and fashion that Marvel needed. He put them in with his weekly allotment of pages going back to the company, and his editor was like, "Who inked these pages?" And he goes, "Oh, my buddy Kevin did." And that was it, man. That was history, and I started getting work immediately on X-Force, which is one of the top books at that period of time, and never looked back. From that point, I got lucky. Having somebody in there who was able to do nothing more than, have my work there, to have it available to them. And because he was very, respected, they said, give the guy a shot. They gave me a shot. And it was from that point I had to prove myself, and worked, and it was learning on the go, actually, doing that inking thing. And so I became by trade, I became an inker in the industry, whereas I always wanted to be a penciler, but I got very, very good at it. I was, probably in the late 90s or early 2000s, I would say I was rated as probably one of the top 10 in the industry at that period of time. And I got, I got some good books to be on, and in the right place at the right time for a number of different books, and very lucky, very fortunate, and I don't regret a single minute of it. Yeah.
So Kevin, real quick, when was that? It was Greg's work on X-Force that you inked
Yeah.
for him, and then how old were you at the time?
Oh, well, in relation to working for comics, pretty old. I was in my 30s
Okay.
at that time. Yeah. So I want to say 93 actually is when I broke in, and that would have made me 32 years old.
And we should point out Greg, you guys can Wikipedia, Google him, Greg
Yeah.
below. Huge, really big with the Batman, with Batman comics. That's kind of what he's known for with Snyder, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't he work
Yeah.
with Snyder?
Yeah.
So really big, goes to the New York Comic Cons, is one of those guys that just signs away.
He's
very
massive.
big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
very,
absolutely massive.
very big in the industry. So we're obviously in a middle school PTO meeting here now. We got a lot of the kids watching, a lot of parents, but a lot of middle schoolers. What did you sort of do in your middle school years to maybe pave your way? Because you mentioned you were picking up a pencil and drawing when you first learned how to write and read. What were you doing? You mentioned a little bit about the comic club, but you were doing this on a regular basis back then, weren't you?
I was drawing all the time. The comic club was something that I actually headed up, with, some other people there, and, with a teacher who was, I don't even remember her name now, but, she was always very supportive of the arts and even the comic thing. I would draw murals, life-size murals for the hallways.
Yep.
For certain events I did, because they would always enlist me to help with the backdrops for plays, you name it. It was, in high school, my art high school classes, I was so far advanced from the majority of the people, not everybody, because don't forget Greg was there too, and a number of other people. There was a number of other very talented people too, but my art teacher would always give me projects outside of what she gave the rest of the class, more challenging things to prepare me for college. So, and yeah, that was it. I've been drawing and making comics as a little kid would do, since I was a little kid. It's just been a lifetime, passion for me.
All right, now I got a message. I got a Facebook or a message here, and I also got a message on my phone. Somebody said, "Brian, what is behind you?" Obviously, everybody knows it's Flash, but Kevin did this. Actually, I'll hold it up.
It's Brian's wall behind him.
Yeah,
He came over and painted it.
Kevin did this for. Whoops, I got to turn this off. Kevin did this for me, for my son Zachary. Some of you might know him, a 7th grader in Patroon. But Kevin did this, for my family a few years ago, and there we go. So there is. Can you guys see it now? There we go. Yeah. So there is Flash with my son Zach. That is a likeness of Zach, and as you can see, it's pretty darn eerie because it looks so much like Zach back when he was 8 years old. Back in 2017. So that is going to be part of what we're going to be doing a little bit later, the drawing. Kevin will have a chance to sort of put your son, your daughter, or a combination of both with their favorite villain or superhero in sort of what would be a mock comic book cover. So that's just a little tease because people were asking me, how cool is that thing behind you? So Kevin actually did that. So Kevin, let's get back to this now. People could see this now. I said I want Flash, and you see Zach as Kid Flash. How long did that take you? And obviously you had to use a bit of a reference to look at what Flash looked like from the TV show.
Yeah, I wanted it to look like the actor. I think you actually asked me to, because
Yep.
his son liked the show. So yeah, so I referenced the actor. I don't recall his name, and
Grant Castaigne. Yep.
okay, and reference your son, and you mentioned something that honestly I don't even remember what they're called now, but those little boxes that are
Here, yeah, here, yeah.
and you wanted me to indicate something there as well, and you left the rest to me, and that probably took me maybe a total of I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Six,
you
yeah,
can-
there you go. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, maybe around 6 to 8 hours.
That is unbelievable. Now, you talked about inking and you talked about sort of the process, and you were an inker with Marvel, but this, you did everything, obviously. You did
Yeah, I
it
drew
start to
it. Drew from
finish.
scratch. Yeah.
Yep.
I see Jackson Whitford actually put something in the chat. He asked me what my favorite superhero to ink is. And Jackson, I'll tell you, my favorite superhero of all time, and if I'm drawing him or inking him, is my favorite is the Hulk. He's my guy. So I hope that answers your question for you. I'll
Yep.
draw him first, and then I'll ink my pencils, and I'm happy. And then I'll color him.
And you know what? Kevin, we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff you did, because a lot of people are asking about that. So take us through your career a little bit. And I'm gonna share my screen in just a minute. I want to kind of go through some of these pictures that you did, and you can just sort of give your lay of the land about them. Let me get in here and share my screen, if it's okay. Here we go. Can everybody see that?
Okay.
We get a thumbs up. CC,
Yeah.
you got it? Okay. So this is Gambit and the externals. Everyone knows Gambit as a member of the X-Men. This is something you did a pretty big run, right? That you did with
No,
Gambit.
this was only this was a mini series.
Okay, miniseries. All right.
Yeah, this was a mini series. That was Tony Daniel and I doing the art on that particular book. It was very popular. It did really well. To this day, I will occasionally see a very small royalty on that when they reprint it. So
Nice.
yeah. But the royalties are much smaller than they were before. Yeah.
All right. So here we got, you talked about how you love Hulk. Here's Hulk
Yeah.
and Abomination, right?
Yeah, Hulk and the Abomination. Again, that was another mini series. You can see it says book 2 or 4 there.
Yep.
That was
Yep,
with
right
me
here.
with Jim Muniz was the actual penciler.
Yep.
I inked the series. Again, can't go wrong, man. The Hulk and the Abomination. I was very happy to do that book. It was a lot of fun.
Here's
This book-
Justice League. Yep.
This book here, for DC Comics, this was a
There you
double-
are. There's your name. Yep.
Yeah.
There's your name in the bottom.
Yep. This was a double-size issue. And not to say it's always about money, but I made probably more money off of this single issue than any other book that I've done in my entire lifetime in comics. I don't know what it was, but they kept reprinting this thing over and over and over again. And every time they reprint, I would get, a percentage of those things. So it was a lot of fun. Val Semix is another local artist. He lives in, he was a penciler for that. He lives over the Hudson River in, I forgot the name of the town, but right over the Hudson River past Albany.
Castleton or?
Even further out, a little further
Okay.
out there, but it doesn't matter. But he's in this area. Yeah.
Got you. All right.
Yeah.
This is cool. This is this is an oldie of
This is
Kiss,
very old.
right?
Yeah, this is just something, and my signature's changed quite a bit since then. It's hard to see, but my signature's up the right side of the thing. I drew that when I was 16. And
There's
I've
your
been a
signature there.
massive Kiss fan since I was probably 14. And all I did was I drew them. I can't tell you how many times. Because I've made a comic book with them back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, back in the day I did. Somebody
Let's
asked
go.
if I met Stan Lee. Unfortunately I never did.
Oops.
I never met Stan.
All right, let's go back here. A couple of cool things I want to show, and then you have a great story. So this is an original that you did, correct?
Yes, that's all me, pencils and inks. And again, locally, local colors who also worked for Marvel. Tom Vincent actually did the colors for me for this piece. It just gets so much love to this day. I still sell prints of this here.
So obviously they're all going to the doctor. You see Hulk and Wolverine and Spidey and Batman, and I love Superman in the background. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, why do you need a doctor?
He's making time with the receptionist there.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Kevin, let's give a pub. I'm going to put it in the chat. Let's give a little bit of a pub for your website, because you can buy these prints, and you know, we're going to wish luck for everyone out there that's in the drawing tonight. But if you don't win, you still can have Kevin do a commission for you. It doesn't have to be the full color version. You can do the black and white. Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit about that commission while I put your website in here, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. Question right here is, who's the character? The character is actually a local doctor, and her husband commissioned me to do this for her. She was a big comic fan. He was a big comic fan. Yeah, so my website, if you are
put it in
interested,
here.
yeah, I have a store there where you could view the prints I have for sale. You're local, we can find a way to get them to you. You don't have to pay shipping.
Kevin Conrad Art is the website.
Yep, kevinconradart.com.
And I put it in the chat for everyone.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Eli. That's quite the compliment. But there's also on there my commissions. You'll see a good majority of the commissions that I've done for people, and my price range for what I did for you, Brian, was like on a sketch cover.
Yep.
It's a sketch style print. That's why, or not a print, but a piece of art. I do full print worthy, meaning as if it was going to be printed in a comic book, 11 by 17. The prices go up, but everything's always negotiable as far as, I can make things work for just about anybody.
And Kevin, look at the screen here. You mentioned the Bethlehem PTO. You saw it with Kevin tonight, and Kevin will work with you, right, Kevin?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Right.
Jackson F says, are comic books today still drawn by hand, or are they done digitally? Great question, Jackson.
That is a good question. And guess what? They're done both ways. I'm a dinosaur. I like pen and paper, pencil and paper. A lot of guys are using tablets called like Cintiqs, and they'll literally draw on the tablet, and it goes into a graphics program like Photoshop or Illustrator or Corel Draw or something like that. So there's never a fully original piece. It doesn't exist. It's just ones and zeros. It's all digital. But it's done both ways. The coloring on this piece that you see here is digital. It's not painted in any way, shape, or form with a brush and paint. As far as like physically, it's all done within a graphics program. But the artwork there was all done by hand on paper.
Wow. There's some more Kiss.
So some people do make a living. Yep, some people do make a living still, self-publishing. It's not an easy task, these days. You really have to, step on the gas, so to speak, to make it, successful. You have, there's Kickstarters out there that can help you. I've seen some books do very, very well and really, really take off, and artists and writers become very well renowned from, self-publishing their own books.
And that's a question Megan asked. Is it possible to do both writing and drawing in your own comic and make a living from it? Okay. There's and by the way, we will, if you want, and if you want to ask a question on camera, we'll let you do that as well. If you're more comfortable doing it in the chat. This is pretty much an informal deal, an open forum. So if you want to ask a question on cam, you can do that. Or we'll answer it for you here. Kevin, let's talk a little bit about this next. I want to talk about the 9/11 Superman piece. Okay. So I want you to tell everybody about what we're seeing on the screen right now, because this is an iconic piece. I want you to give I've seen this even before I knew you, Kevin. I've seen this.
Right. Yeah.
So go ahead and give your background
So,
on that.
When 9/11 happened, the comic companies all wanted to do like tribute books for it, right? There was such a I was working for DC, but I was at that period of time, I was not on what we call a monthly book, like Teen Titans comes out every month. I was doing I went in sports terms, what do you like, pinch hitting, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And free agent, so I didn't have a full-time book at that period of time when that happened, and everybody was doing submissions of tribute art, and this was mine to get into the DC tribute book, and it got turned down. And the reason why it got turned down was because they got so many submissions, they had to narrow it down to artists who were on full-time monthly books, because they simply just couldn't put them all in the book. And didn't really matter, because this piece just absolutely took off. And you do a Google search for Superman 911, and this is at the top of the list of all the ones that are out there. And it just simply took off. I sold a limited number of prints to this back then in the day, and all the money I donated to a 9/11 relief fund. It was and that was it. I still get inquiries about getting prints for this, selling prints, and I just can't do it. I can't in good conscience do it. If I was to do it again, I would have to do it in the same manner, where I would have to do it, to give the money to some charity, because I could not in good conscience make any money off of this.
And if you look at this, it is a powerful piece, Kevin. I mean,
Yeah.
if you, whether you like comics or not, that is, you look at that and you can't help but tear up, because I mean, the Man of Steel is saddened by what's behind him. I mean, there's just so much going on with this piece.
Oh yeah.
How long did this take, and what was your inspiration here? I mean, what
Yeah, my inspiration was simply that. I was trying, what, even though I'm really a Marvel guy, I'm not a DC guy. I grew up with Marvel comics. The only DC characters I really cared about as a kid were Batman and like the Swamp Thing, right? Not even Superman. I was not even really into Superman. But I just, I was working for DC, and they were looking for, they had a call for entries. And I couldn't think of another DC character besides Superman that represented America, even though he comes from Krypton, he's like the Captain America of DC Comics, and that was really it, and you just saw these flurry of photos of the destruction down there, and the one with the, what you see behind him with just portions of the walls of the Twin Towers, just fanning out like almost like a flower, it just was just so surreal. Everything was white, covered in white, dust and everything. And it was just a combination of, probably 100 different things. And it was just made it such a surreal landscape. And I couldn't think of anything more to, like, he's sorrowful because he wasn't there to save everybody, and he's pulling out a fallen fireman, and that's it really in a nutshell. And it really all came, I didn't get paid for this, it was something that I did because it just, at the time I had to get it out, I just had to get out. And sometimes that just happens, being when sometimes you struggle trying to come up with a concept or something, and then there's the times where it just pours out of you like water, and this is one of the occasions where that happened. And I think there was a second half to that question, but I don't recall what it was.
No, and to be clear, you did everything on this.
I did not do the colors. There's another.
You didn't do but you
colors,
did the pencils and
I
the
penciled
ink,
it.
right?
Yep. The black and white artwork, I penciled it, I inked it. The colors is Todd Broker, who I worked with on Spawn.
Yep. Love Spawn. Here's a question. They just said, who is that in Superman's hand? I think you said just sort of a generic
It just
fallen
represents
hero.
a fallen firefighter.
Right.
That's
Right.
all. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good question. let's look back at some of the other stuff we did not talk about. And again, if you have a question, don't be afraid to ask. If you want to come on camera and talk to Kevin, you can do that as well. We get another question. Kim says, wow, these are amazing. Yeah,
Thank
your
you, Kim.
your stuff is awesome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin, this is Spawn, an awesome show, right? An animated with Todd McFarlane, who everybody knows from Image Comics. You can probably Google him. I know people who maybe not into comics, you see his toy line, the real life characters everywhere. So he did Spawn. Tell us about how you got involved with Todd and with Spawn.
You're never gonna guess. Again,
Greg,
yeah, he moved. He left me high and dry at Marvel, and he went over to Image, and Todd was working on getting some spin-offs of the Spawn book, and he was looking for talent for that. And again, he just said, you should look at my buddy Kevin. He's really good, you know. And ironically, Tony Daniel, who was my penciler on these issues of Spawn, we were working together on X-Force at Marvel when I went over to Image to do Spawn, and Todd was looking for a penciler for the book that I was going to be doing with, you know, and I said, I know just the guy. And so I got Tony Daniel over, who's actually, he's up there too. He's pretty, he's very popular as well. And that was it. That's how I got in, you know, that's how I got into Spawn. All it took was a word from Greg saying, well, check out Kevin's work. And Todd did. Greg gave him my phone number. We had a number of conversations on the phone, and the rest is history. And the same thing happened with the Kiss Psycho Circus, because it was under Todd's imprint for Image. And he asked me,
Psycho Circus.
yeah. So Todd knew I was a Kiss fan, and he asked me if I can. Jamie's got a good question there, and at one point, let me share the screen. I'll be able to answer that for her. But yeah, and Todd asked me to do the book, and he knew I was a fan, and that was all it took. I said I would have done it for free, but but you know, but I got paid well for it, so that was a good thing.
Addie Stafford asks, have you ever met Kiss? Because you did their comic. I know you're a huge fan. Have you met them?
Believe it or not, I have. I've met the band a few times. Before I was even in comics, I met the band. I won a contest on a local radio station, Pix 106.
Yep.
And I got to meet the band then. And then that contest afforded me to get to meet them a couple times on that tour, because I got a backstage pass for that tour. When I was working in comics, I got to meet Ace Frehley from the band, who wasn't in the band at the time that I originally met them, at a local club that he was playing at, because I was working in comics. And through a mutual connection from that he's a colorist that I worked with on Spawn, who was friends with somebody who was friends with Ace Frehley's manager, and put me in touch with him. And he got me backstage passes, and I got to meet Ace Frehley there too. So it was pretty cool. And then this happens, and all the planets aligned for me. Yeah.
Did the band know you did this? Like, did you meet them when you were involved with?
So
Psycho
no,
Circus?
I met them
Before
this.
Did you meet them while this was going? While Psycho Circus was happening?
Ironically, no.
Really?
No, didn't meet him.
Okay. All right. More questions. Oh, Jamie, let's answer. Jamie says, can you explain the difference between a penciler, an inker, and a person that does the colors?
I can. Yes. And at some point, if you can let me share my screen.
Yes. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We may need help from Cece here, because we have to make you a Cece, if you're there, if you could help and have Kevin share his screen, that would be awesome. We will
okay, give me 1 second. He should allow it, because I allowed everybody to share.
Okay.
Yep.
So Kevin, if you share your screen, you should be good.
Okay. I'm looking for a folder before I share it, because give me one moment here.
All right. Again, if you're just joining us, Kevin, as you're looking, we're talking to Kevin Conrad, Sage College graduate, Schenectady native, Linton High School grad, now Schenectady High grad, former artist for DC and Marvel, and here at the Bethlehem Zoom Bethlehem Middle School PTO meeting. And again, we will have that drawing at the end of our meeting to see who gets the cover that Kevin will do for you. So here's Kevin's stuff. Kevin, what are you going to show us here? You're going to show us a difference between
Yeah.
inker, right?
Yeah, I'll show you a couple things while I'm on this is my Facebook site. Just a very quickie thing here. On the left was a Todd McFarlane sketch. I just did this just last month. Somebody bought a sketch that Todd McFarlane did, and he wanted me to do a finished pencils and inks on it. And if you look at the left to the right, I hope you see a pretty drastic difference between the two.
Yep.
All right. So that's pretty much it. Somebody would do the pencils on the left, and I would finish it in ink. That's a pretty drastic one, but I could show you here. Let's see. I thought I had a pencils ink commission. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Right here. Okay. All right. So here we have on the left is the pencils, and it's just done with graphite pencil. And on the right is that piece finished with Black India ink using brushes, quills, a little splatter technique you see here. I added a lot more detail into the explosions behind him. So that's a pretty simple, uncomplicated inking job there. I should have some different ones here. I forgot her name. That was the guy who was a pretty big at one time. It was Steve Platt. Here's Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they were a little bigger for you, but that's as big as they are on here. Lady Death and Evil Ernie. Here's a very simple one again. This one here, I didn't want to do a lot of changes to the art, to the pencils, because it didn't need it. It was a very clean graphic piece, and the same with that one. But I'm trying to find one might have a different, more of a drastic thing. Let's see. Hang on. Right here. Okay. So Moon Knight and Spidey. So a penciler will literally start from a blank page and draw what you see on the left. I would get that piece and I would have to finish that piece in black ink. And okay, kitty.
The cat's enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. I should have been better prepared for this. I should have had, let's see. Let me go back to my albums and come over here.
Kevin, when you get done with this, I'm going to get to a couple of questions. Kim, you could probably answer this as you're searching. Did you ever get to see any of your art of them?
I don't follow that question.
Yeah, I don't, Kim, I don't know if you're referring to Kiss or you can maybe reiterate that one. Ronan and Liam asked, what advice, we'll wait on the advice one after you show your stuff in your rock band that you're in. The Kiss tribute band, right?
Yeah, there's me right there and my Kiss tribute band. That's a Facebook filter, but I probably have a better one here somewhere. Okay.
The drummer.
There's me dead center right there.
Nice.
Right. Oh man, I got lost there. Albums. Okay. On my website. So I got my website up here somewhere, and this toolbar is hiding it. So
Yeah, you got to move that out. Kevin, let me ask you this. Let's ask you this question while you're looking. What advice would you give to this is from Ronan and Liam. Ronan, I'm sorry if I botched your name. I think Ronan. What advice would you give to an up and coming aspiring inker or penciler or writer for a comic? Someone who has the dream that you had one day.
I could tell you it's, you don't give up. You have to draw. If you really want it, you got to draw all the time. You can't stop. And you have to, I'm trying to get rid of this so I can get to my, here it is right here. Okay. Constantly draw. Whatever field you want to do. If it's drawing, draw all the time. And you will only get better. Another suggestion I have is not to get discouraged. To help you not to get discouraged is date every piece you do. Put a date, put a timestamp on it. In a month or two down the road, 3 months down the road, you don't think you make any progress, go ahead and look at the ones that you did 3 months ago. And you'll see that you'll be, you'll start to get better. Start to finish. Here we go. Color pencils to ink. So that's my best advice to you. Hopefully these are pretty large. Okay, this is my pencils. I drew this. Okay, blank piece of paper. This was from a book that I did called J. Zan Wilde's Carnival of Souls. And it was a Tarzan type character. And where's my arrow? Arrow? Okay, that's not the right arrow.
Oh, wow, that's cool though.
Yeah, that was inks. All right, here's the inks of that same piece. I inked it. And I know my arrow's over behind the behind my the screens, the video screens there on the right. So that's why I can't get to that. But
move the screen. You can move that over. You can move the bar over.
I'm afraid to. What if I just hold down and drag it?
Yeah, just move it. Yep.
Drag it down to the bottom. Oh,
yeah.
Sweet. Oh, okay. There we go.
All
right. So here we are. Look at this. Pencils, inks, flesh it out, makes it much more easy to read. And then colors. And I did not color this. This is colored by another professional comic colorist. I do coloring and like you saw, like with the piece I did for you, Brian, and that's all marker rendering. And that's what I do. I do marker renderings. And I don't dabble in the digital coloring like you see here. Here's that doctor's office piece.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pencil and ink.
Yep.
And then colored.
This is cool.
The very last issue of the Kiss Psycho Circus book. So this is pretty crazy. This is another, I was the inker on the book, and the penciler that I worked with, I asked him if I could pencil the last cover for the book, because it ran its course. It ran 3 years. And he said, sure. So this is what I penciled. And this is what this guy did. This is another great example of what an inker can do for a pencil piece. All right. So it's hard to read, but he added this dragon, and he kept my Gene Simmons on this throne of teeth here, as you see with the wings, and he got rid of the smoke and the avatars, and he added this dragon. The mouth is wide open. It's much easier to read in color. So there it is in color. Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great question, Dylan. And again, if anybody wants to pop on camera and unmute their mic and ask the question, we'll let you ask, Kevin. It's okay. If you want me to read, we can do that as well. We'll have the drawing here in a few. When you go to draw something on your own time, do you have a plan, or is it just the idea that comes to you when you're drawing? That's from Dylan S. Good question, Dylan. I kind of asked you that last night.
Yeah. So if I'm drawing for myself and I'm not doing a commission for somebody, I mean, it's like I have to be motivated on what I want to draw. So sometimes, geez, I want to do something. Maybe I want to draw a picture of the Hulk, right? And then I'll sit on it for a little while. I won't just put pencil to paper most of the time. I'll just let it stew in the back of my mind. And I do that also with commission work, where if somebody wants me to do a commission, a pencil commission and if I go to my commission page, right? And I think I got a good example in here.
Good question, Jackson. We'll get to your question in just a sec.
All right, so this is a good one here. Actually, this guy right here. So the direction I got from the guy who actually asked me to do this image versus Marvel versus image piece, or image characters are on the left and the Marvel characters are on the right. He didn't give me any direction. He just said, he told me the characters he wanted. And he said, I want it to be loaded with detail and you do the rest. And I was like, geez, sometimes I like to have a little bit more direction to get the wheels turning, right? And I sat on this for quite a while thinking what I could do with this piece. And then it came to me because it's just like a classic, for me, it's like a classic Marvel pinup where they're facing off with each other, And and I literally did that, I had them on one side and the other side facing off, and it worked out very well. Yeah, it worked out very well for me. I was happy with that.
Again, keeping the questions coming. These are great questions from our students at Bethlehem Middle School. Again, if you want to ask on camera, we'll let you do that as well. You could talk to Kevin, say hello. Jackson Fargione, does an inker have free reign to change or add detail to another artist's pencil work?
That is
depends who, right?
It absolutely does depend on who.
Right.
That's a great question. I will tell you, with the Kiss Psycho Circus book, there was 2 pencilers on that book for the 33 issue run. I was the sole inker on that book for that entire 33 issues. The guy who did the first half of that run, I was told expressly by Todd McFarlane, who owns the company, Kevin, I want you to do what you do best, whatever you need to do to make that book shine. You go ahead and do it. That's your job. The penciler didn't care too much for that because I didn't change everything, but I would change stuff, and he wasn't too pleased. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I was following my direction by my boss, right? The second penciler was all for me changing whatever I needed to change to make it work. So sometimes it works. And then as being a good inker, you need to know just by looking at the penciler, at the pencils, this guy clearly doesn't want me to change anything. This guy trusts his inker. And it's really how they approach the pencils, and if they're super, super, super tight and every line is there and every detail is there, that guy doesn't want his stuff changed. If it's more of a looser quality, for up for interpretation, that guy wants an experienced inker who knows how to draw to take the reins and finish that piece. So it is and I can show you some examples of that on here. Artwork, pencils to inks. A good example of that Kiss book I was telling you about.
Yep.
Right here, this guy here. Okay. So pencils are on the left, the inks are on the right. And the biggest change I made to this cover was the profile of Paul Stanley's face.
Mm-hmm.
I literally redrew the face, to not make it look so witchy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And that was my job. That was my job. I made Todd very happy. And honestly, that's all I cared about,
Good stuff. All right. Great questions. Here we go. Jackson Whitford, what artists are inspiring to you?
Oh man, Frank Frazetta, John Buscema, Neil Adams,
Greg.
No, Greg, yeah, for sure, man. He helped me a lot,
Yep.
In my early years working in the comics. I grew up in the comics in the 70s when I collected, and everybody I just named are icons from the 70s. There was more. Gil Kane, John Romita Sr., his son was only a little older than me when I was collecting comics. who's now in comics drawing. He's very talented too. But yeah, Sal Buscema, John's brother, another great penciler. Mike Plug, Bernie Wrightson. There's so many that, you know, I could tell you that, you know, really did influence me. Yeah.
Eli says, I saw you did Alice Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah. Good eye. That was,
Yeah.
that was,
A commission for someone?
that was
maybe?
an exclusive print for the Great Philadelphia Comic Con with a VIP badge. And I think, do we have it here?
You must have seen it. I'm assuming.
Probably,
you saw
yeah,
it.
you probably saw it somewhere in here. Right here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was,
Oh, that's cool.
I've got the badges. I don't have, oh wait, I might have, you know what? I'd have to dig it out. The VIP badge, it's strictly, it's a laminate. And this was the art for the laminate for the VIP badge for him. And that's the pencils. There's my inks. And there's the colors.
Oh,
Okay. And that's literally like a 3.5 by 5 inch badge that would hang on a lanyard.
yep.
And it had the Great Philadelphia Comic Con logo up above the art. And then the print is right here. There's my pencils for the print, my inks for the print, and I incorporated, somebody spotted Alice Cooper, so they must know a little bit about Alice. So I incorporated some of the key things in some of his songs, like the guillotine from his stage show where he cut off his own head. He's still alive, boys and girls. Don't worry about that. Feed My Frankenstein. So I did a Frankenstein type monster. Cold Ethel. He's talking about this is a middle school, but it's about a dead woman. And he always had his boa with him, his boa constrictor. So I added all that in there, and then I commissioned I hired a professional colorist to color it for me. And that's the final
Awesome.
piece right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tarek or Tariq. My best friend from growing up's name was Tarek, so I apologize. It's either Tarek or Tariq, I'm assuming. How many comics have you made? It's okay if you don't know, but if you can try and answer my question. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously it's going to be hard for you to name them all, but
There's no way I can name them all, but
not name them all, but like a number.
yeah,
you know?
I can. I once kind of like ballparked how many pages I actually worked on, and I worked it out, and I could just like I was in the business full time for 14 years, and in a single issue book has 22 pages. I never worked on just a single issue book. I did that and then maybe another book for that month. So I would say conservatively, I probably inked somewhere about 40 pages a month. So times 10 months is, 400. We'll say 500 pages a year times 10 years is 5,000 pages. So you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 12,000 pages of work that I did in that time frame.
Awesome. Here's a question from Ewan. Is the rationale for having 3 separate artists as opposed to one person doing all stages artistic, or is it a commercial? Is it a commercial driven thing? Why are there 3
So
different
these are middle school kids asking these questions.
Hey, Kevin, this is what the Bethlehem Middle School is
Holy
all
cow.
about. You know what I mean? We got some smart kids here that are into this stuff.
There's some great questions.
Great questions. Every question has been awesome. I wrote
Yeah.
questions. I don't even need my questions. I mean, I'm throwing these things out the water.
So
You guys are on fire.
think of a comic book as a production, and it comes out every month. A new issue comes out every month. And in order to make that happen, in most cases, now this day and age, there are people who do everything from pencils to inks to colors. They letter it, they write it, they do everything. And that would be a hard thing to do on a monthly basis, to get that book out on a monthly basis. There are books that are simpler in style that it can be done. But the reason why is just because they have deadlines to meet. They got to make sure the book comes out on time. Otherwise they risk returns on that issue. If it arrives at the store late, the store can send them back. And then the company loses money. So they hire a writer. And, that's the first step. And then the writer sends that script to the penciler. Penciler starts penciling pages. And as he finishes the page, it goes to the inker. And as the inker finishes the page, it goes to the colorist. And then it goes to the letterer. And all that stuff has got to get done in a 4-week period of time. So, wow. and I have been finishing my last page of a book, and the book is literally on the stands in the next week. That's how tight it is sometimes.
Wow.
And it shouldn't be that tight, but sometimes it would be that tight. So yeah. That was a great question.
Yeah, and there's like more. We got more in the hopper here. Ewan asks, were you benefited by Sandman in the movie and the move from comic book to graphic novel?
So I never had any dealings with the Sandman character. Somebody else asked if this was Sandman behind me. They might be confusing Vinnie Vincent for some character in Sandman. This is a Kiss character over here. So if he looks like Sandman, I don't know. That wasn't me. That was a character developed in 1982.
Yep.
And for that Kiss did, one of the guys in the band. But that's the second person that thought that was Sandman. Yeah.
Kim Lawler asked, how do you get your inspiration?
Honestly, that goes hand in hand with the other question about who inspired me growing up as artists, and that's it. And you always strive to be better, and you always have for me, I have a goal is like, man, I want to draw like Bernie Wrightson. I wish I could draw like Bernie Wrightson. That, what, I'm going to draw a piece and I want it to look like something that Bernie Wrightson. Then ultimately I fail, but it's still not a bad piece. It's still not a bad piece, but it's my interpretation of it. So that would be, probably, a good way to answer that question, I think.
Ronan and Liam's mom. Hi, Ronan and Liam's mom. How many women are in the field or more breaking into it?
Absolutely. There's quite a few. Yeah.
Your girlfriend, right? She
is. Yeah. She self-publishes, and she's also working, which I really can't say much about, but she's got something big coming up too.
Well, just give her name. I mean, that's all right.
Her name is Nicole Jelenic.
Yep.
Very talented. She has her own Facebook site too, and Instagram as well and stuff. And she's, I would say PG-17.
Okay.
So her stuff, but she does a lot of stuff. She's a horror artist.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And very, very talented. Crazy.
Yes,
and if you want to know, you want to talk again about inspiration, I see her work, and she works a full-time job, and she works a full-time job doing comics, and she's coming and she's drawing all the time, and that's an inspiration to me right there.
And you mentioned a lot of other women in the field as well.
That drive. Yeah, there's quite a few in the industry these years. Yeah, for sure.
Adrian, have you ever inked an anime drawing?
Not per se. I'm trying to think if there was anything that I did that was a kind of an anime style, but I don't believe so. I mean, I've been asked to draw in an anime style before, and it's not, something I have to really struggle to do that, to make it look like that. That's an art in itself.
Her name is upside down. It's kind of funny. Krishna, how long does it take you to ink a page?
It could be really anywhere from, if I can I'll give you an example of my commissions here. So something like this, that's probably 2.5 hours. Okay.
That's Namor, right?
Yep, that's Namor. Something like this, that was probably more like 12 hours.
Wow.
So it really depends on the intricity of the piece. Like this too took quite a long time. This guy took a long time. This I penciled and inked. Moon Knight. Yep, Moon Knight.
Love Moon Knight.
Yeah, and that was because of the buildings.
Yep.
Just the sheer detail in the buildings was, Yeah, that was probably 10 hours right there.
That's Tarek. Sorry, Tarek, I pronounced your name wrong. He corrected me and said it's Tarek. Okay. Ronan and Liam, what kind of ink do you use? What type of pencils and ink do you use? And we're going to get a few more questions, then we're going to get into this. People are just asking. I don't, if you want me to keep answering questions, we can. A lot of different people are asking. So if you have a
Right.
question, try to get it in. We're going to get to the drawing here in a minute. And again, Kevin Conrad, KEVINCONRAD art.com. You can contact him, mention that you watch with Brian or whatever. You don't even need to remember my name, just from Bethlehem Middle School PTO, and you're interested in getting a commission from him. He'll take good care of you. So
Yeah.
Getting back to the question, what kind of ink do you use? What type of pencils and ink?
I use Speedball Super Black, India ink. For like the actual, most of those commissions I just had up were all done with a quill and with a brush. Old school, where you dip the quill in the ink and drag it across the paper. I do a lot of stuff like that. What I did for you, Brian, is done with brush pens, which is a way where you can actually work like in a con area event where you're, I don't have to worry about spilling a bottle of ink or anything like that. And they've come a long way, the brush pens too. But that's what I do. Pencils, I use, I use tech pencils most of the time. They kind of look like a pen, like a 0.05 lead weight. I use a 2H and an HB. One is a lighter, it's a harder lead, it's a lighter look depending on what I'm drawing. And that's pretty much my tools of trade.
Dianca, was drawing comics your main source of income, or was it a side job? Those are probably referring to those years where you were
Those
full-time.
years when I was doing it, it was my main source of income. It was I did very well in the industry when I was in the industry at that time. And now it's a side job. My job I have now provides me the time to do that on the side. So, and I do it at my, the scheduling for comics is very hectic. Like I said, deadlines. So now by doing what I do, I'll do occasional printed work, but most of the stuff is strictly commission work, for fans, and everything I had up was all commission work, everything I just showed you. Yeah.
Matthew Greenblatt, first time we've heard from Matthew. Welcome, Matthew. What have you inked more of, Marvel or DC?
That would be DC. Even like I said, I was a Marvel boy. It was great to start at Marvel. And DC was great to me. They continually, gave me work where sometimes with Marvel, if I wasn't on that full-time book, I might have been waiting for work. DC, they always had something waiting for me in the wings. I was never not busy working for DC. So
And
I did a lot more for DC, and I did actually a lot more for Image than any of them, because of Spawn. I worked for roughly 6 years, in Todd McFarlane's camp at Image Comics, doing Spawn, Kiss Psycho Circus, Spawn the Dark Ages, Spawn Blood Feud, and all that kind of stuff.
Spawn is so awesome. And Image Comics, also home of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Graphic novels as
Yep.
well. Most people,
That's true.
A lot of people never knew that The Walking Dead at first was the graphic novel by Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Amazing work.
Thank you.
That's from Susan. Let me see. Oh, good question. Jack Morin Rubel. I hope I'm pronouncing your name. Marin Rubel. Okay. What comes first, the drawings or the writing of the story? I would think the writing.
The writing does, yeah, and writing always comes first. If you're doing all three, sometimes, if you're literally you're the author of the story, you're the penciler of the story, you're the inker of the story. If it's up in your head, sometimes maybe, you'll plot it out in thumbnails or something, and then write the story to what you're telling on the page, but mostly it's the other way around. It's the story first, then the pencils, then the inks, then the colors, and so on.
Kevin, stop sharing your screen if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm going to get into mine. I'm going to show a couple more things of stuff that you did. And someone wants to see Spawn. And we'll show them Spawn, and then we'll get into the drawing here in a second, and anything you want to comment on as I peruse some of the
So
stuff.
yeah, that's a Spawn cover, but that's not Spawn on the cover. So that's
Yep,
um
there's Spawn.
yep, there's Spawn. Yeah.
Kind of a, I would say PG-13-ish comic, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
very, it was HBO.
Yeah, that was
HBO
an R-rated
animated
series, I want to say.
Yeah, it was R-rated, and then the comic. I loved the. I'm sure I read your stuff because from that HBO show, and then there was a movie with John Leguizamo, right? Wasn't
Right.
he the
Yeah, he was
I
the
think
clown
the
violator.
clown?
Yeah.
Yep, that became a movie, and then I started reading the comic because of that. So I know I've looked at your stuff.
Yeah.
Here's some Teen Titans that you did, right?
Yep.
Hulk and Wolverine.
That was a recreation of a Hulk cover from back in the 70s. And I did a recreation in my own style. You know, same composition as the original piece, but it's all my own style. Yeah, I redrew it.
Okay. X-Force.
Yeah.
Another X-Force. Cable, right? Many people
Yep,
know who
that's
Cable
Cable.
is.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we are gonna there's another X-Force. There is Cable. Let me see if there's any other questions. CC said if any, the president here said, if any parents, guardians, if you have any PTO school-related concerns, direct message or email me, ptobcms@gmail.com. CC said she wants Kevin to have as much time for questions. We have a few more minutes. We were planning on doing the drawing before 8:30. If anyone wants to ask a question, if you want to ask a question on camera, and you know, maybe you can unmute your mic and turn your camera on, and we could take some questions again. I know we've had some great questions so far, and a lot of people are waiting for the drawing, Kevin, for what you're going to do here. So
Drawing for the drawing.
The drawing for the drawing. So again, if you're just joining us, or if you're wondering exactly what on earth you're going to be, let me stop sharing my screen here in a second. Okay. If you're wondering exactly what it is, so basically your child will be featured, chance to be featured on the cover of a comic. Kevin's gonna put your child's face as a superhero villain on a mock comic book cover. I'm gonna show you as we get you fired up for the drawing. I'm gonna show you sort of what it looks like. This is what Kevin did for my son, Zach, 4 years ago. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. There we go. So many of you know Zach is a 7th grader in Patroon. This is when he was in 3rd grade, maybe, or 4th grade.
There you go. That's perfect right there.
Grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's Flash, and Zach is Kid Flash. So that's sort of what you'll, and Kevin, you're pretty open. I mean, you know, whatever comic or, you know, what anyone wants.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as I can, you know, locate a blank for it or a logo for it. I can make it any comic they want. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So let me see if we have any questions. Someone says, I also have Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, X-Men, and Avengers. So people have X-Force comics.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Okay, let me get rid of this. So I know people are excited. I think we're going to get into the drawing. CC, what do you think? I think we can.
Yeah, actually, I did ask one question to Kevin. I guess I just went. I don't know where it went.
I saw it, but I didn't want to. I was waiting for Brian to.
Oh, what was the question? CC, you're
sure.
on.
I'm on. Okay. Well, Kevin, the question was, because I have like so many students here and so many parents, can you explain the difference between doing comics and doing manga?
Well, manga can be a comic as well, a comic book as well, but it's the style of the art itself. Manga is a Japanese style of comic art. I'm trying to think of something. Only thing that comes to mind is like Speed Racer for me, but that's the only thing I can think of right now. Akira is another one. If you look up Akira, you'll see what I mean. Big wide eyes, little button noses, and a lot of times very clean and graphic looking characters. And then the comic, like superhero comic art, is more what you've been seeing here on the screen today. Yeah, that's the best way I can explain without having an example to show you. I don't think I do. I don't think I have anything handy.
No Naruto laying about there, Kevin?
I'm sorry?
I said no Naruto laying about?
No, I don't have any manga laying about. I might have had one book, but I don't see it right now. So I got stuff all over the place, but yeah. No, that's about as best I can. Look up the book Akira, Akira. It was an actual movie too, an animated movie. And it's absolutely stunning. It's stunning stuff.
I know the difference, but I figured some of the kids and the parents.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
How did I do? Did I do okay?
Yes, but I figured because as parents, we sometimes don't. The kid says something, you're like, what was that? What's the difference between a graphic novel and a comic and a manga? So I figured I'd just throw it out there.
No, awesome question, CC. I've learned something new here as well. All right, so we want to, before we wrap this up, Kevin, we are going to just let everybody know we have had quite the turnout for this drawing. Everybody been purchasing raffle tickets, and we want to say that I want to give a kudos to you, Kevin, for your time, because we raised $685 to support the Bethlehem Middle School PTO, and this is a tough time for everybody. We're just not having those in-person events and things of that nature. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know from the entire executive board here for the Bethlehem Middle School PTO. We thank you, and from the student body and the parents and guardians as well. So thank you so much for coming on.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.
Kevin, so you're going to, let me share my screen here, because we are going to now pick a winner. So Kevin, I want you to choose a number between 1 and 10.
7.
All right, 7. So as you see, I have all the names on the board in alphabetical order. I'm going to shuffle this 7 times, guys. This is random. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can everybody see? Yes. Can we see the board? Can we see the wheel?
I can see the wheel.
All right. Cece, you can see the wheel?
Yeah, I can see
All
the
right. We're going to spin the wheel. We're going to say, Kevin, you need to say big bucks, no whammies. Remember the big bucks, no whammies show. We're going to spin the wheel. There's no shenanigans here. We have 207, not individuals, because some people bought multiple tickets. So there's 207 names on the wheel here. And we're going to spin this darn thing. All right. So I wish everybody luck. It's all automatic. I'm literally clicking the mouse button. Are we ready?
Go.
Oh, the tension is mounting. Here we go. And our winner is
who is it?
Susan Salzer. Susan Salzer, who I believe messaged or
I'm on.
Susan, are you here?
I am.
Susan,
Hey,
pop up your
congratulations.
camera. Don't be shy, Susan. Where's Susan?
I'm the one who also sent the picture on the BTO thing there. My son did those drawings of Scooby-Doo.
Yes, I commented on them. Susan, where are you? There you are.
Yay.
Susan, you are a winner. Say hi to Kevin.
Hi,
Hey,
Kevin.
how are you? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Who is this going to be? It's going to be for your son?
Yeah, I have
And
two, so they got to decide who.
Well, you could put both of them on there, right, Kevin? I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
we can
putting any
talk about
pressure
that.
on you.
You can both be on there, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
Any
exciting.
Any idea who?
Congratulations, Susan.
Thank you.
Awesome, Susan. We're going to be contacting you as far as how you can pick those up. I mean, how you can get in contact with Kevin, and and we'll be in touch. We'll put you guys in touch, and you guys can get it all worked out. If you have any issues, you can just reach out to one of us on the PTO. We'll take
Okay.
care of you.